Good afternoon. This is Seth Patin. We're from day 3 of Modex, here with Steve Simmerman from Blue Yonder. Today we're going to talk about the impact of automation and workforce challenges over the next decade on the warehouse management system and how that's going to change WMS and all the systems around it in the future. Now, Blue Yonder has a package, obviously, that is really designed to solve a very vast variety of needs. But, Steve, can you first of all introduce yourself and then explain, how you see WMS evolving over the next decade, particularly?
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Seth. I appreciate it. Steve Simmerman with Blue Yonder. I'm part of our global alliances team. I manage the Blue Yonder Accelogix relationship and help with their team and our team strategize on very, very strategic supply chain execution sales opportunities and projects with our joint customers. So glad to be here.
Thank you. So WMS is an interesting topic, especially with in the age of automation, AI, machine learning, and Blue Yonder just made a pretty substantial change to call out its intent, to dive into AI and machine learning as a driving factor in their supply chain platform. What do you think that means to the market? What for people who don't necessarily understand AI and machine learning and how it might impact a WMS, what do you see coming?
Well, I like yourself, we've been in this business a long time, and so when I look around here at Modex and I see the messaging, the robotics, the software, the applications, the evolution of WMS supply chain execution software is continuing, but at a really, really rapid pace.
Indeed.
This is the amount of change in the industry in the last 2 years, I would say, going back to ProMat the last year. The amount of change is tremendous. We have probably twice as many robots here today as we did a year ago at ProMat. So
I've got one sitting right there.
If you just exactly, if you look at it just on the surface, the rate of change is phenomenal. But it's being driven by the market.
All this technology, though, has to feed back into a nerve center of some kind. The robot companies don't really do supply chain software; they do autonomous robots. The central nature of WMS, I think, is not necessarily becoming irrelevant as much as becoming incredibly relevant, because we've got now so many different systems working together. How does the WMS vendor react to that level of new technology integration and new places for data to come from?
Sure. Well, it's new, but it's not unexplored territory. So, throughout the history of WMS has always played with some level of automation. If you think back 10, 15 years ago, it was conveyor sortation systems, it was ASRS, maybe AGVs.
Sure.
So what's happening on the WMS and software side is happening on the automation side. So where you look at a traditional ASRS, for example, some structure like that, we still see those in large pallet-driven operations, but you're starting to see these high-density cubic, high-velocity solutions like AutoStore and OpEx, and these other shuttle systems that are becoming subsystems within a footprint of a DC. So our customers are getting smart. Rather than continue to add another 100,000 square feet to my DC, I'm going to optimize that space with some of this new automation. And WMS has been dealing with these subsystems for years. So in a sense, it's new because the mechanization is new, but the communications, that chat, the level of chat between the systems is pretty consistent for what we've done year over year.
Right.
And I just see that continuing. But the one thing I do see is it's going to become more chatty, right? These systems are going to talk to each other much more frequently.
Right.
So you talked about AI and ML. So Blue Yonder is already introducing AI and ML into our WMS. So we now have a machine learning based tasking engine, okay? So we're taking the traditional task management to the next level. And it all has to do with the maturity curve that we talk to our customers about, their journey from a supply chain perspective, going from an era of visibility where they had traditional WMS or ERP systems where we provided great visibility and data, but we didn't do much with it.
Right.
We're now taking that from a strategic perspective within Blue Yonder with partners like yourselves to our autonomous platform, to a real-time autonomous platform. And the journey there is that the platform is AI ML based and will learn about the behavior of a specific supply chain so that it can now go to the next stage of maturity, which is predictability. So let's say we have an ocean container that's delayed a couple of days, okay? Through the platform, interacting with the WMS and other outside systems, The machine learning engine will learn what happens when that occurs. We can now predict with a high degree of probability that these things will happen in your supply chain. You will probably have to reroute inventory from this DC to another. As the machine learning kicks in and AI kicks in, we'll move then to a prescriptive level of maturity, where the WMS, the platform, will say, Mr. Supply Chain customer, we prescribe that you do these 3 things based on this disruption in your supply chain. Ultimately, we'll get to the autonomous platform, where when we see that disruption of that ocean container on the water, we will autonomously cause actions to occur within the supply chain. But getting there is not easy, because you have to have systems, both from our competitors, our customers, partners like yourselves, that are able to communicate across this platform in a real-time manner. But we're getting there.
Certainly looking forward, the role of the WMS, I think, will change in the future, but there's a profound opportunity to be smarter than we've ever been before.
Yeah, and we're talking a lot about the execution side of the house, within the distribution center, the 4 walls. The reality is, those demand signals are changing, right? Out in the stores, in your living room, in the car, right? The demand patterns and signals have changed dramatically. So, companies like ourselves, Blue Yonder, with our demand planning, for example, and now our demand edge, using AI, ML, for managing and monitoring that demand signal and working it back through the supply chain so we are more efficient in the DC. That's the world of the future. I mean, we are going there at light speed.
Right. It's not just about connecting. It's not just about connecting the 4 walls and everything inside the 4 walls.
Absolutely.
It's about connecting the 4 walls to everything, including the customer.
We're already seeing bots like this in retail outlets, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Walmart, for example, has a robot that goes up and down the aisles, scanning and comparing product on the shelf to the planogram.
Right.
That's a reality. It's hitting everywhere.
happening.
It's everywhere.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal.
Well, I thank you for taking the time to come and chat with us today. This is Seth Patin from Modex signing off with Steve Simmerman from Blue Yonder. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.